All right, guys, about that time. Another Friday night. Yeah, it is Friday night. Friday night, Mississippi Gridiron Scoreboard Show. Chris Brooks here with you. Glad to be with you guys tonight. And I am literally just hopping on here real quick. I'm pulling up some of these scores for the first time right now. So bear with me. I'm expecting to look at my screen here in just a minute and see some text or some messages that come in. I threw a turtleneck on, probably nasty. Been running all night at games. Congratulations to everybody that is advancing. Look, congratulations to some state championship teams. I watched Park Lane War Heritage out tonight. Pretty good. That's a state champion class. That's 4A Division II for the MAIS. They have their big game tomorrow night with Hartfield and Jackson Academy. So they've already had several games. There was 3 today. Then the big one tomorrow night. League beat Tri-County last night. But I want to get some of these scores from around the state tonight, okay? Big day. We're brought to you by Capital Ortho, capitalortho.com, by Sound and Communications, that's soundcomav.com, by Malone Roofing Services, ecmalone.com, by Country Pleasing Sausage and Country Meat Packers down in Florence. If you haven't been down there, go check them out. And also by The Rogue in Jackson. If you want to look good, that's a good place to start for you gentlemen, the Rogue in Jackson and Luke Abney and his team. Appreciate all of those guys and what they do for me so I can do this for you guys. Now, the Dude Effect. What's up, Brooks? George Wilcox is him. Hey, look, I saw the Dude Effect there, and I really thought that was going to be a Lane Kiffin question. And it's not. So I appreciate that, brother. That was a day. We might get into that at the end of the podcast. Craziness there, craziness. But let's jump right to this. Here are the matchups, and then we'll get to the scores from tonight. But these are the matchups going into next weekend, okay? Dude Effect 90 million. That is basically, this is a guess on my part. That's basically what Ole Miss was going to give. I'm guessing that's 90 over 6, which is going to be 15. I think Ole Miss was 13.5 to 14, probably would have done the same. And I saw a number Ross Dellinger put out about a $25 million NIL package. Roughly what Ole Miss was going to do. I don't think that was about the money, but we can get into that later. And what the rationale that, man, we could do, see, you got me off topic now. We could do a show on that. A coach that's obviously headed elsewhere, coaching in the Egg Bowl. Look, will it be like this when he's walking into Davis Wade? Will the state fans be complimentary and the Ole Miss fans be the ones that are booing? That's just, it's crazy. That'll be a crazy Friday. But look, here's your matchups. Let's start here, okay? Then we might get to that later. 7A, you've got Oxford, Tupelo. Tupelo beats Germantown. I saw that was 35 to 28. And I didn't get the final score with Oxford. I'm going to pull up Twitter X here on the other computer too. And we'll see how many people hop in here tonight. It might not be a ton. If this is the first time you've been on this podcast, we do it live. If you comment on X or reply, I guess, whatever, or if you comment on Facebook, it will show up right there on your screen. So you'll see everything that's coming through. And I do my best to answer them as they come through. Hattiesburg Gula, man, I had not seen that yet. Hattiesburg 35 to 20 over Pascagoula. That's a big win for the Tigers. So I've got X on both screens here. We're going to try and see how many of these scores we can track down. But Oxford at Tupelo is your North State. Brandon at Gulfport in the South. Gulfport won big over over Petal, which I'm not surprised they won. Appreciate you, class. Man, always an awesome broadcast with you guys. I saw y'all won big again. But Gulfport won big over Petal. Brandon wins in overtime over Oak Grove at Oak Grove with interim coach Eugene Clinton. Hey, I'd clap, but I don't. This might be loud in the microphone, or is this the Kirby clap? We could do that. That's an awesome job for Brandon. Coaching change in the season. They get hot in the playoffs, win a couple on the road, Ocean Springs, and tonight at Oak Grove, and they'll have to beat Gulfport at Gulfport. That's going to be a great game. Also on Friday night. So it's Egg Bowl night or Egg Bowl day. I mean, the Egg Bowl's at 11. I'm trying to think if you could even pull that off. Could you? The game's at 11, I think. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. There might be two. I was thinking an early kick. Could you go to it? And now there's no way you could bust it and get to the coast in time. So you're going to have to pick. Sorry about that. Excuse me. Been a long night. I've been running. You're going to pick. You're going to pick where you want to be. But Gulfport wins big. Gulfport's playing great. Blake Pennick's done a great job with those kids. 11 o'clock. Appreciate that, Tebow. Caden, Gulfport, South State. And Grant, Gulfport's playing as well as anybody. I did the same thing last week. I forget the running back's name from Gulfport. I have no idea why, because I just said his name on the phone talking about that matchup next week. And for some reason, I keep drawing a blank on that kid. He is a stud. So you get Tyson Robinson, who was a man tonight for Brandon, from what I hear, and a junior that's being recruited by everybody. And then you get him going up against the Gulfport kid next weekend, who he's going to pick up more and more offers as we go. Thank you, Cooper. He is a stud. 4.4 flat 40 kind of guy. And we're talking electronic dimes for Brandon fans checking me out. Like the kid can really run. So that's a matchup of two teams that are playing great. In 6A, and I'm gonna roll through these real quick so I can get them out, or we'll be on here for 50 minutes. Ridgeland at Warren Central next week. Ridgeland had a big win tonight over Neshoba Central. Warren Central, I'll have to go back and look. I can't remember who they played. Then you have Picayune at Hattiesburg. That has a chance to be a great game. Picayune fans, Hattiesburg's playing as well as anybody the last month. So that's a matchup. Holmes County at West Point. That's a big win for Holmes County tonight over Cleveland Central. West Point won big again. I think they got Pontotoc. And again, look, this is just top of my head. I jumped on here real quick to try to get to this for you guys. Laurel at Brookhaven. That could be a big one. Warren Central beat Lake Cormorant. Let's see here. Laurel at Brookhaven. Brookhaven's as talented as anybody in 5A with 24-7. Appreciate that. Nathaniel, congratulations, dude, on everything going on with you. Excited for you, man. Looking forward to the spring. Brookhaven's big time talent, and Laurel, their schedule's always front loaded, bad, and people write them off. And then Ryan Ernest gets that thing going late in the year, and this year's no different. 4A, you get Kosciuszko at Louisville. Cozy's playing as well as anybody. Louisville is, I see saying Louisville. When you got college and high school, they're jumbled together. It's easy to screw this up. Louisville, you really got to drag this thing out. You can't ever pick against them. So look, when we pick Kosciuszko fans, you have to go with the Wildcats, but you guys are definitely capable of winning that. That's going to be a great game, but man, that's a big time matchup. Poplarville at Columbia. Columbia, I think one of the 5 best teams in the state. And Poplarville, of course, defending champs. Big time running back. That has a chance to be a great game. This from Carter. Knoxville beat Choctaw County 34-33. Wow, I saw that score as the night was going along. That looked like it was a great game. Let's see here. In 3A, Knoxville County at Winona, and then Seminary at Raleigh. Raleigh's playing as well as anybody in 3A. It's hard to pick against them. But especially in the north, those two programs, Knoxville County and Winona. Yeah, Rashawn, he knows. Like West Point, there's some of these schools you know not to pick against. You don't pick against West Point. You don't pick against Louisville. Used to be South Panola back in the day. You knew you didn't need to go against them. Heidelberg's that team this year, probably as big an overwhelming favorite as there is. And I'm about to pull up 2A watch. They won't be in there. But I know they are. I know they won big already. Kemper County at East Webster, and then Mize at Heidelberg. Mize has had a great year. But Mize fans, if you're checking the podcast out tonight, I've seen that Heidelberg team, and they are ridiculously good for a 2A team. Then in 1A, Calhoun City is at Biggersville, and Taylorsville is at Simmons. And that's exactly how I thought that was going to shape up. So those are your North State and your South State matchups next Friday night. And then we'll get to state championship week, the next one. Now, if you guys have any questions or comments, knock them out. I'm going to look through some of these scores, and if you don't mind, if there's any big performances tonight that I don't know about, let me know. Would love to give some of those kids a shout out here. And plus, it helps me go ahead and start getting ready for top performers, team of the week, and all of that next week. Pedal couldn't stop the run. Man, I can see it. And Gulfport can run it with anybody. Tri-County versus Leak was a game. Wilcox has no offers. Leak Academy has a quarterback who ran for about 170 yards first half. Tri-County was a big favorite in that game, had beaten Leak bad in the regular season. But this quarterback, I don't know how much he weighs. He's thick. Okay, he's a big kid. You don't think he can run, George Wilcox. And then he takes off. He's real light on his feet, much faster than you think. Goes for, gosh, I don't know how many total yards. He had to push it like 400. Had 38 rushes. 38 rushes, and I think 32 pass attempts. So 70 plays ran straight through that kid. And he doesn't have offers yet. The last time I checked with him, junior college coaches, I've seen that kid. He absolutely could play at that level. Without a doubt, without hesitation, I tell you, somebody needs to get in touch with him. Tupelo won 28-21 over Germantown. Germantown offense is stellar. I thought Germantown might go in there and win, and that's no disrespect to Tupelo, but Germantown I thought was playing as well as anybody in the state. The hangup is this: Germantown has struggled stopping people running the football. If there's an Achilles heel, that's been it. And Tupelo just has all of those backs. And now that they have quarterback back, then you got J.J. Hill back in the backfield. You've got really an SEC kid in every class if they needed it. They don't go that deep. Bobo's in the junior class. That's been the leading rusher all year. That wasn't a great matchup for them, I didn't think, just from that standpoint. But Germantown had a heck of a season. That was a great team. What else about let me see here. For some reason, I'm about to minimize my screen here so I can answer some of these questions. I can't see them. Let's see. What do you think about the MAI's playoffs participation trophies? Chad, look, they have 9 state championship games. It's too many. I think they know that's too many, but they had some issues going into this year. You're trying to make some things work. They have the 4 big schools that are bigger than everybody else, and it creates some problems. It just does. But yeah, if they could go back and revisit that, and I haven't asked them this question, I didn't want to be rude, but if they could go back and revisit the power rankings and how they did that this year, they wouldn't have done it the same way. And the reason I know that is because they've already changed it for next year. But there's good people over there. I think they'll next year will put out some better results as far as that's concerned. But those games are great. I mean, they're state championship games. Everybody's excited. They're never going to have to run through the gauntlet, which I don't like putting down those because those are great games too. But in some classes, like this year, it's several classes. They only had to win 2 games, a semifinal and a final. It's always been like that, really, in the biggest class. And for public, that's different because it's a minimum of 4 rounds you got to win. And many of these is 5. But it's just for these public schools that go through that gauntlet of 4 and 5, there's a lot to that. I have nothing but respect for those guys. But no, I enjoy these MIS games and getting out there and seeing those people. Tonight was a great time. Park Lane beat the mess out of Heritage, but I kind of thought that was going to happen. Ty Keys finished with 429 and 7. Wow. He's so good, it's ridiculous. Mize already beat 45 to nothing by really the regular season. I just haven't gone back and checked notes from the season yet. Heidelberg is, like I said, Heidelberg is ridiculous. How about those Wildcats? We talking about Louisville or those Columbia Wildcats? Jesse, Parker Nettles for Gulfport is legit. That's a fact. Kid that came from Silliman Institute in the offseason, and he's a senior. He can spin it. Like he's been a big pickup for Blake Pennick. What else? Pedal couldn't stop the run. Big little. Okay, I got those already. Let me scroll back the other way. Zay Dennis, running back, picking over 320 yards, 5 touchdowns. The least shocking news of the night is Picayune running back going for 300. They churn them out over there. Brandon, the biggest surprise, yeah, amongst the ones that I've seen so far, and I haven't gone back to check all of the scores, just the matchups. And these are, for the most part, all of the teams I expected to advance. Maybe a couple changes in there. Without a doubt, the biggest surprise is Brandon. And that has nothing to do with the talent on that team because Brandon has players. But this year, just it was not working. And then, of course, Lance Poe steps down. Eugene Clinton takes over. They get in the playoffs. And in some ways, that frees you up a little bit. I think it removed a little bit of that tension that was in that locker room and around the program, and it kind of freed them up because then you're not expected to win at that point. And sometimes you see teams do this. But look, they have Tyson Robinson at running back. Okay. Sladen Shacks at quarterback. That's a kid with Division I offers. They have talent at receiver. They have talent on defense. I mean, they have players. So I can't say I'm completely shocked they won that game just based off the year they've had, yeah, but not based off the roster that they have over there. McCoy got hurt. Tupelo's floor. Wow. Thomas, is it bad? I hope that's not a big one because he's a stud. Crosby was robbed in the Mr. Football. That's from Ryan. He put up big enough numbers to win that. You know, JJ Hill won it last year, and anytime you're the guy coming back, and if you're familiar with what happened at Tupelo, JJ Hill spent half of the year playing the quarterback position out of necessity and was a team guy about doing it. And that robbed him of his stats for the year. Last year's a 2,000-yard guy. He would have been the same thing this year. But Brian, I get the point you're making. This from Cam. Columbia, yeah, headed to South State. Columbia is the favorite right now, without a doubt, to win it. Thomas, that sounds like that's a big injury for McCoy. I want to be careful to make sure that's right, but yeah, if he's out, then that's a big deal. He's a stud. Ryan Crosby's a better back than Hill is. I mean, we'll find out. Running backs are difficult to project. Look, I can tell you all this, and I don't mind telling people when I screw up, when I get it wrong. I remember watching Quinshawn Judkins at the Mississippi-Alabama All-Star practices, and I wasn't the only one. I'm having this conversation with several coaches. He didn't look anything like he did at Ole Miss. Just being completely honest, I did not see that coming on any level. If anything, you kind of wondered why he was headed there. But you never know. Sometimes kids get there and they just take off. Running backs especially. Either one of those kids blows up in college, I wouldn't be shocked. But I know they both have a chance to do that. What do you think of Columbia Poplarville rematch? Columbia is better top to bottom. I've had a chance to see them play. I have not seen Poplarville, to be fair. Poplarville graduated a lot of talent. Columbia did too, but depth-wise, Columbia wins that. But Poplarville has Ty, and I mean, it's not just Ty Keys. They have some other guys. I don't know if they have as many as last year. I know that's a great matchup, but I don't know if they're better than last year. But I don't know. You never know. Ty Keys is one of those kids that might not lose. You know what I mean? Often in high school, the team that wins is the team with the best player. It happens a lot, especially if the teams get relatively close. And think like Centurion Perkins. There might be a kid out there who he's not going to lose. Ty Keys is that kind of player. Tupelo leading rusher isn't Hill. Yeah, of course it's Bobo, but that could have been Hill, should have been Hill. The way they decided to replace the quarterback position is putting Hill at quarterback, and he was handing off a lot. Kids sacrificed a lot of numbers this year. But if you're looking to see who's the better rusher right now, and with all due respect to Bobo, I would 100% right now say it's JJ Hill. What else do we have here? Columbia 41-6 over past Christian. The one big. Okay, I hadn't seen that yet. Appreciate that, Samuel. Jonathan Close, Columbia by 14 minimum. I mean, that I wouldn't be shocked. Columbia is really good. Like top to bottom, Columbia is going to be very difficult for somebody to beat. Not impossible, but it's going to be hard to get that one. Thomas, I wouldn't say better. He's faster. Hill is huge. Hard to get down a great run. And that's fair. They're very different guys. Completely different running backs. Look, Bobo's an SEC guy too. I mean, it's not like they have one of them. And I forget the 10th grade kid's name that's going to be one. Excuse me. It's been a long night. Been using my voice a lot. Let's see what else we have here. Poplarville may just start basketball season. You can't beat us running the ball. I've witnessed that, but look, Ty Keys is as good as it gets, man. Ty Keys is special. Like that's a special football player. Louisville has one too. Oh my gosh. Now I'm drawing a blank on his name. 10th grade kid. Getting old. That kid is special. The Brandon Bulldogs, yeah, I got that from Brent. I still can't. I don't want to say I can't believe Brandon won. I'm happy for my friends that Brandon won. Have some buddies who are huge Brandon Bulldog fans, and I've been pulling for them to win this thing. They keep getting to South State, and then they keep getting to State, and they can't win the thing. But it's right there. Who do I like out of North 4A right now? Man, I hate picking against Louisville. But I think Kosciuszko has had the better year. I should say not the better year. Maybe the better way of saying it is they've had I'm trying to think of the right word. I want to get it. I think they're playing better right now. And I haven't seen the score from that Louisville game. Did they just wear somebody out? I can't remember who that game was now. They're all blending together. The quarterback for Cozy, watch out for that kid this week. Like he can play. Arm and legs like that. He can go. North 2A Chuck. So you're asking me who's going to match up against Heidelberg. All due respect to Mize. Fantastic year, Bulldog fans. That Heidelberg team is unbelievable. East Webster has had a big year. Kemper County, of course, with the big running back that's going to Ole Miss, and that's going to get much of the attention. But in terms of team, East Webster is deeper. And playing at home, East Webster is going to be hard to beat. Ridgeland or Warren Central? Look, I think Germantown was playing as well as anybody late in the year, but early in the year, I saw Warren Central wear Germantown out. And I know that roster was loaded. Warren Central this year is really good. Another team that they have more depth than just star players at the very top of their roster. They have a lot of players. And look at the Morgans over there and what they do with that roster and the talent they have. And they get as much out of it as anybody. But what Todd McDaniel's done at Ridgeland this year is, I mean, Todd, Todd, that's as good as anybody in the state, dude. So I'm happy for him and happy for Ridgeland the season they've had. But Warren Central is going to be a handful. South 7A, so we're talking Gulfport and Brandon. I mean, I could be a straight homer here and just say Brandon because it's right down the road from where I'm sitting right here. I mean, I have a Brandon address, even though I'm Northwest ranking the school's right there a couple miles away. But Oh, you see, now you're making me pick against Brandon. Gulfport's playing the best football of anybody in South 7A. Like, that's a fact. And Brandon's had two great wins, like last minute, you know, heart pumping wins, awesome playoff wins. So maybe they carry that into it. Gulfport's been opposite. They've had convincing wins. They're playing great football right now. So it's going to be hard for Brandon to keep this run going. I mean, it's awesome, and I'm happy for him. And I know a bunch of those kids, and I'm pulling for them. But I know some of those Gulfport kids too. And Blake Pinnock is he's a good friend. He's done as good a job as anybody. And we keep waiting on a Gulfport team, a coast team to run through the playoffs and get to a state championship and win it. Ocean Springs was getting close, couldn't get it. Gulfport is playing like a team that could do it. So that's the favorite. Gulfport's the favorite this week. Maybe Brandon can go down there and get them, but that's a lot of words just to say Gulfport, absolutely, that's the favorite. Caleb had a thriller tonight. Laurel starts to drive 5:34 in the fourth, finishes with field goals. Time expired, 24-21. No, look, I think Ryan Ernest does a great job there at Laurel. The last couple years especially, but this year they roll out with a bad record to start non-region. But I mean, like I said earlier, they schedule, I mean, really difficult. I mean, they do it every year. And a lot of those games are baked in, it's traditional rival. And then they get to the end of the season and they're playing like they're playing right now. So really happy for Ryan, who also is coaching in the Mississippi Alabama All-Star Classic this year, which I'll be down there with him, try to get down there with him and Johnny Mims and those coaches every year. And if you're playing in that game, I will absolutely be there to take pictures. And I try to throw those photos online so you guys can have them. I'm happy to do it. So you got Columbia in the championship against Cozy. Am I reading that right? Bonnie, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked at that. Godzieska's playing great football. Laurel out of conference schedule gets them ready. He does it every year, man. Seen it every year. You still think Lane is staying in Oxford, Willie? I think Lane is gone, is what I think. I think a whole lot of people think that. That's just such a weird situation. If he's staying and you have a meeting today about whether you're going or staying, you release it. There's no reason otherwise not to do that. But there's a whole lot going on there. So you'll have somebody who is going somewhere else. And maybe I should couch that by saying, I don't know, is this when you just throw allegedly in there before every sentence to cover yourself? I don't even know if that's being alleged. Rumored might be the right word. But yeah, I mean, he's going to take that LSU job, be my guess. That's the expectation, what everybody's saying behind closed doors. And I do wish this. I wish people would get off Keith Carter's back. That's a great dude. And I think what's going on there is something that's out of his control. My guess is he can't do anything about it unless you want to pay the remainder of that contract. And most of the conversations I've seen about it are people that don't understand how that contract's written. If he's not gone yet and said he's gone, he's going to coach in those games. It says more about the coach than it does Keith Carter. So, and I do hate it for those players. Somebody that's coaching a team going to potentially the playoffs. If they lose, they'll be out, I think. That says more about the coach than anything else. So maybe it was inevitable it was going to get to that point. Hey, but they had 6 good years of it. Y'all going to beat us a second time this for Vonnie. East Webster High School takes down Charleston 61-40. Charleston was good too. And Brian, what'd you think of that running back for Charleston? Marcus Flowers had a big year. LSU 90 million, but Willie, he was getting that from Ole Miss. I think they threw that big number out to make it look like a big number, but I guess technically, if you wrote it down, what he was getting from Ole Miss was going to be like 84 over 6 years or something. And we don't have income tax in Mississippi, or is that changed the last session, something like that. And I think the NIL money is going to end up being the same. Ole Miss was spending a fortune on NIL and was going to jump it up. The reason they're winning is they are funding. And Lane Kiffin's a big part of that. I'm in the minority here of Ole Miss fans. Ole Miss fans, I'm trying to tell you, the best thing you had going for you or have is Keith Carter, the athletic director, who I think's among the best, and Walker Jones running your collective. I think that guy is among the best. There's no way for me to quantify that and have a ranking. But if you told me those guys were at the top of their profession or right there, that is 100% believable. And those people are pulling in the same direction. As long as you have that and you have a competent coach, you're going to win. And maybe I'll be proven wrong, but I don't think I will. We still have the income tax. Scott, when is that? When are we losing that? Wasn't that discussed the last time, or maybe the next time around we were going to drop that? Brian was playing like he had some grease on him. See, I don't know what that's like, man. If I had the ball, I was rather easy to tackle. Would have been nice to know that. Let's see. LSU's a bigger brand school. That's true. But look, I think people were missing the mark on that. It's not a ranking of the schools, this job over this job over this job. It's a ranking of schools that is the best job for you. There's lots of things about that Ole Miss job that probably will never come out. That was really good for him. That was a good place for him. He never did that anywhere else. And that's a fact. And so you can either believe he just suddenly became mature, or Ole Miss had a big hand in the winning. I think they did. And LSU, from what I hear, that's one of the last places to go if I were him. You got to talk to boosters there. You have to talk to people. You have to do those meetings. You have to get on the road and go recruit those high school kids. You have to coach those high school kids. So it won't be as much in the portal. I wouldn't think you still get them, but that's a very different environment than the one that he was in, that he was flourishing in. Maybe he will there too. We'll see. I certainly don't wish anything bad on him, but there was a lot about that job that helped him have success just for him personally. It didn't matter, like trying to rank schools. That's mostly fans just chest thumping. I think we're caught up here. People, we have been on this for 30 minutes already. I am looking forward to the Egg Bowl next week. I do think Jeff Lebby is a good coach for state fans checking this out. I know the common theme is people are aggravated with him. I know a lot of good coaches, when you don't have good enough players, you look stupid. And there's no other way around that. Jeff Lebby's made some mistakes this year, but especially at quarterback. If you don't have the players and you're going up against better players, your coaching is going to look bad. Full stop. I mean, there's no other way around that. But they've gotten a lot better from last year. 15 years, Scott? What? I don't really get big into any of that. So I just remember reading a little side thing. I was getting excited about that, man. 15 years, am I going to be here? I don't know. Warren Central hosting Ridgeland. Yeah, that could be a game of the week. I'm looking forward to getting into some of the previews for those games. Thomas, Ole Miss fans' biggest mistake thinking you had Lane for a lifetime was never going to stay. I do think he loved being there. I think that was obvious. But I agree with you. There was no holding on to that forever. There were other opportunities that just didn't work out. Auburn almost happened, and it just didn't. But yeah, that was not going to be a long-term solution. But look, my friends would tell you this. I'm a big believer that these coaches, their worth is drastically inflated. That's just me. I'd rather have a notched down coach and $10 extra million paying players than I'd have it spending $15 million on that coach. That's just me. There's a lot of good coaches out there. If you have a good one, I will tell y'all this, in this new world of college athletics, it's very different. especially the football. Think of it like the NFL. You have a coach and you have a GM. And at the beginning, GMs in college, it was just a title because people didn't even really know what they were doing. But as we're going year to year in the NFL, those are both valued highly. In college, that GM part of this is going to be the same as the NFL. If you have a great GM, there are many different coaches you could have and win. I mean, good ones, you can't have a bad one. But if you have a GM that's roster building and money, key part of this, money to field teams, to fund it, to build them. If you have a competent coach, you're going to win. Make sure the player development part of that and your GM and that half of your staff is getting it done. As long as Ole Miss does that, they're going to be fine. They'll miss the tweets though, and it did put them on a national stage with all of that until it goes south like that, and then it flips, and then everybody starts ripping him again, like like the stuff that came up in the past. Summerall to Oxford, that's possible, Ryan. I think he's on a short list. I don't think he's at the top of it, but I think he's one of. And honestly, I'm not sure who that is at the top. I haven't heard that yet. I'm gonna try and find it out though. Just from not to report, but just from a fan standpoint, man. I like to know what's going on. It's good to have friends that know what's happening. What else here? Boomer, hey Chris, how much longer can West Point do this? I don't know, man. Truth is, and Boomer, you know this from around there. I'm surprised they've done it as long as they've done it. Because with just the town, it's shrunk a little bit. At least this is me outside looking in what I've heard or what I think. Could be wrong. But with some of the business leaving, what the real big plant, this has been a long time now, right? Isn't the population shrinking a little bit? And now the school is playing at a 5A level. So on some level with that, I'm a little surprised. But if you've ever seen like those kids practice, and I have once, or if you've seen how they operate, it's just those dudes are wired different, buddy. And you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's important to them. Winning is important to them, and not just the winning, just the tradition of it and carrying it year to year. It's important to those players and those kids. And it's different to them. That's a fact. But they have spit out some players. And even when they don't have like the stud players, they just have a ton of just like gritty dogs, like use that usually in baseball, but just kids that just get after me. Maury Bland, man, what are you doing? Let me tell you something. I was looking at your old Madison Central page this week for something. You're recruiting a kid, and your name popped up. Maybe he gave you an accolade or something or a shout out. And I was going back through, I couldn't remember what year you graduated because it made me feel old, dude. But I'm so happy for you. You're killing it, buddy. Anything I can do for you, let me know. Felt more is awesome. But for real, if you need something from me, just ask. What else we have here? Almost lose the egg, Kiffin LSU, lose out on the college football players. What a gut punch that could be. That could happen. People don't know this, but that's actually written into the criteria, something they consider losing a player or a coach like that and the impact it has on a team. That could happen. What else? All right, I think we're done here. Hey, look, I've enjoyed the season. We'll do this again next week. Always appreciate you guys checking in. I think I'm about to start doing something else here locally. I miss being on the radio. Working on that, but I have a lot of things going on. But I enjoy doing this on Friday nights. I should probably be doing this every day, but it's just so busy with all these graphics and things that we're spitting out. It's been difficult. If you have a player or somebody you think I could help or somebody that's being overlooked, just hit me up on Twitter, on X, MS Gridiron. Because honestly, that's the main reason I do all this stuff. Been doing it for a long time, 15, 16 years. If you have somebody like that, or maybe a younger kid that's coming up that nobody knows about yet, that you need some advice on how this is going to go, because it's a different world. Had a kid hit me up yesterday about a school. Hey, had I heard anything about them? I'll tell you this. I know a lot of good coaches. I know a lot of bad coaches. There's a lot of good. There's enough bad. I got to tell you, it's hard to trust anybody. Keep your circle small, and the people that you've trusted through the years, those are your voices you're listening to, and just try to have common sense making decisions on where you're going to go next. Because everybody will kind of tell you what you want to hear. Be smart about it. The only leverage you have when you get somewhere is kind of where you fit on that totem pole with talent. It's hard to be developed these days. If you're not ready, and it's my kids do the baseball thing. It's like this in football. You need to be ready when you get there, or you never know what can happen. But anybody needs some help with any of that, just let me know. All right, guys. Look, always enjoy it for all of our sponsors, for Soundcom, Country Pleasing Sausage, Capital Ortho, Malone Roofing Services, and The Road. Appreciate those. They're good friends, great businesses. Y'all have a great weekend. Looking forward to some football next week, some college football tomorrow. But God bless. Appreciate y'all, and we'll talk to you next week.